trust anybody now.
Come on, you hey! You want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will live.
And welcome back to the 85th episode of the Monster Movie Stompdown. This is Sludge, your host. Co-host across from me
is Mark.
The master from Texas.
Ruben.
So we're getting close to 100, boys. We're creeping around the corner. We're 15 away. I'm pretty stoked. We're going to do something special for the 100th episode. Want to think of something really,
yeah.
really cool.
We're going RoboCop for the 100th episode.
I'm totally down.
I'm not at all. I'm not at all. No.
You can RoboCop. We can, we already did Godzilla 98, so that's out the question.
Yeah, we don't ever.
Although we can do a special
ever
retrospective.
We are not doing Titanic.
I don't want to do that one.
We're not going to do Titanic.
No. Even though it can be argued that the iceberg's a monster, but we got a fun episode, and we do apologize for the delay in release. Could not be helped. Unfortunately, Mark's employment business. He's the boss, and when people quit on him, it means he gets to work more.
Oh, too much.
You mean it wasn't Frank and the electrical issues caused by?
Well,
Frank, electrocution.
Frank caused some electric issues in the studio. Yes,
electrical issues.
Well,
I thought that was the delay.
Well,
I thought the delay was, he blew a bunch of equipment and his hair.
And you guys will see pretty soon. But Mark and Frank were working in the studio, and
man,
Frank decided he was going to help Mark with some rewiring down here. And it kind of went south. Let's just say that it went south pretty easily. He saw a big shiny silver box and wanted to know what it was, and it did not go good.
We were doing good for a moment.
Yeah, we thought about blaming it on Frank because it caused some problems. But gotta love the dude either way. So we found out we're getting this out to you, kind of middle of the week. And we apologize, but like I said, just keep marking your thoughts. He is trucking through, working hard for a man his age for a pizza company. That is for sure, because we were originally supposed to record this last Tuesday, right?
Exactly.
And then you ended up having to work because people left.
Yeah.
And then we pushed it to Thursday.
And
you end up having to work.
All over again.
Yep.
It just doesn't stop.
We were deciding we're going to do it last night, which is Sunday night.
Yeah.
And then you were pretty much on your own and one other person, so we're finally on your day off.
It's I was taking today. They were going to fire me today, I think, because I wasn't going to work. At least I said that. And where was I at 10:30 this morning? I was working and had to do paperwork and all that kind of stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, hardest working man in America, right there. I'm telling you.
40 years of this stuff. I'm about ready to say, time to hang it up.
It's time to be done with it. So.
I am counting the days, which makes it going to go longer. I'm hoping to work another 10 years and then be gone. But who knows? Who knows? Because every day that goes by, it seems like I'm going to have to work a little longer.
Yeah. I'm not sure going like, all right, I got a little under 30 years now of work left ahead of me, and I'm like, maybe 40, maybe 50. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
We just,
That's all right. Now we're here working on something that we love to do, and that is talking to you all about monster movies. And we've got a Toho classic for tonight. I don't know if I'd call it a classic, but we have got the 1958 film Varan. I think it's how you pronounce it. Isn't that how you pronounce it? Varanipode? Is that what he calls it? That doctor?
That's what he calls it.
Varanipode. So Varan. Varan is what it is. So this one was, like I said, came out in 1958. This has got some good information behind it because this started off with one plan and went totally left field. And Toho had to change a lot of stuff when they came out with this movie. Pretty much to kind of save face almost, just to make sure they didn't waste any money. But we will get into that. Before we do, here's the trailer.
世紀の謎。ロケットやミサイルが飛ぶ時代にこんな言葉が存在するだろうか。だが日本のチベットと言われる東北地方の秘境に青年科学者が発見したものは何か。バラのポーだ。バランだ。え、バラン。中世代の怪獣だ。 万年前に生息したと言われる原始怪獣バランは凶暴性と想像に絶する破壊力と飛行力をもって日本全土を蹂躙危機刻々と迫る
その高さまさに怪獣です。恐ろしいことだ。さまさん断じてこの山から逃がしてはいけません。
バランは東京上陸を狙っているようです。もう一度攻撃をかけましょう。
攻撃するってなんでだ。
爆雷攻撃です。バランが奇襲に出るならこっちも奇襲に出るんです。 東京放棄ですか。
東宝が全世界に誇る特殊撮影を駆使してゴジラ、ラドン、地球防衛軍に次ぎ皆様に送る東宝スペクタクル巨編大怪獣バラン大怪獣バランにご期待ください。
This is Charlie with Give Me Back My Action Movies.
And Dan.
Join us every 2 weeks as we dive into the classic action movies of the 80s and 90s.
That's right, Charlie. But we also take a look at some of the current films out there that still has those nostalgic feels for us.
Exactly. So make sure you find us on all your major podcasting platforms.
And check us out over on Facebook. We have a group where the conversation's always going 24/7.
We're having a good time.
I think so.
I'll be back.
All right, and that is the trailer for Varan. And then, of course, you got the commercial from our good buddies Charlie and Pete and Nate over at the, sometimes Nate, at the Give Me Back My Action Movie podcast. And, of course, make sure you check out all the shows on our podcasting network. We just did Free Comic Book Day last weekend and set up a table with all the shows. And, man, a lot of people were super interested. So it's super cool. Make sure you join the groups, check the shows out. There's nothing you can't find. We got action movies, we got horror movies, we got monster movies, we got pro wrestling, we've got haunted houses, we've got an interview show, and we've got good beer, bad movie night, which is good beer and some pretty bad movies. Not always. They do some good ones sometimes.
Yeah, win.
Well, but that's why you have bad movies, but if you have good beer, it makes the movie a little bit more tolerable.
Oh, yeah.
So,
What blew me away is they recently did Mean Girls. And me and people were talking about it. Of course, I mean, I don't drink. But we were talking about it, and he's like, how many would you have to do? I was like, you guys do a 6-pack rating, I'd have to do like 12. Because I hate that. That movie's so bad. And I was like, how many did you do, Pete? And he's like, 1. I'm like, really? For Mean Girls?
You don't like Mean Girls, huh?
I hate Mean Girls.
Wow. I've seen it a few times. I can't say I'm in love with it, but...
if you've seen it more than once, you're in love with it, sir. I'm sorry.
I knew that was coming.
I mean, if it's on, it's rare that I find it,
He looks for it. Look at him. Look, I can tell he looks for it. He's like,
do you have the Blu-ray disc? Be honest. Be honest. Do you have the Blu-ray?
The DVD.
4K. The 4K. Yeah, 4K. I've seen it on TV, and I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's a good comedy.
Oh my god! There's few movies made me want to pull my hair out, but that is one of them. That's like,
I can honestly sit here and say I haven't seen it.
You're a lucky man.
Lucky man. Really? You've never seen it? Wow.
No.
Well, you're not missing anything. I promise you. You're missing nothing. So, all right. Well, we're not talking about Mean Girls. We were talking about Varan. Varan came out in October of 1958 and had a crazy production on this one because this was actually supposed to be a 3-part TV film that was an American-Japanese co-production. Toho had teamed up with, ABPT Pictures or something like that.
ABPT.
ABPT.
Right. That's right.
They were going to co-produce, and they were going to make this, like I said, a three-part TV film. And then ABPT, I'm going to mess that up tonight. I can already tell. ABPT is they went under. They went bankrupt pretty much. And so Toho was kind of left with a lot of footage of this film and decided they'll make a theatrical movie. So they finished up some stuff and released this in October to mild reviews. But then it ended up getting picked up by an American company anyways, and was extremely rehashed. So what had happened is they had, it was Crown International picked it up, and they pretty much just took not even all, but some of the scenes with Varan and a few select scenes of the Japanese movie, and then spliced all new story, all new actors, American and Asian cast, mixed in between.
Yeah, like what was it, about 15 minutes of the original movie is all they used?
Yeah, that ain't much. Like it's literally like
if even that.
Yeah, it's like very just the Varan scenes. Yeah. And of course, I spared you guys from having to watch that one because it is atrocious. We'll talk about the original release, and then we'll jump into that American release. So in Varan, pretty much you've got these two science students who are going looking for a rare butterfly that's been seen near Iwaya village in what they call the Tibet of Japan. It's around this lake because this butterfly that's been found is supposed to only be in Siberia. So they go looking for this at the beginning of the movie, and the townspeople tell them you don't need to be here because Baradagi, which is what the village who's been there for centuries, call Varan. Varan is like the god of that area, and his name's Baradagi. And they tell him Baradagi's going to kill you, blah, blah, blah. They don't listen, don't believe in the myth. Go looking for the butterfly, and Baradagi kills him. Varan ends up coming out, and they end up getting squashed. So what ends up happening is one of our main characters, Dr. Sugimoto, who those were his students, he sends a couple more students and the sister of one of those students that died to go looking for him. And in the process of going looking for him, they discover Varan. And, of course, Varan ends up destroying the village, and Dr. Sugimoto comes out, and then the army comes out, and they try to stop Varan. They're unsuccessful from stopping him, and Varan flies off. This giant lizard flies off like a flying squirrel and starts heading towards Tokyo. There's several battles at sea as they're trying to stop Varan, but then nothing they can come up with can penetrate his hide, and he ends up breaking land at the Haneda airport. And at the Haneda airport, of course, they're trying to onslaught him with everything that they've got, and nothing's working. But another scientist has come up with a new explosive device that's 20 times more powerful than TNT, and Varan is attracted to lights. So they end up finding a way to actually drop flares, and he will eat them. So they put these explosive devices onto these flares. He swallows them, and they end up blowing up inside of him, killing the monster. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's not a super thick storyline by any means. They needed to put out another John Monster movie, and that was what had happened. The American version took everything away, as far as the whole, native god scenario and the butterflies and the science teams, because the science teams were a pretty big part of the movie. And they bring in this American guy, a scientist from the army, who's testing out a desalinization chemical on this lake, because all of a sudden this is a saltwater lake now, which it wasn't in the Japanese version. And so they do the test, and that's when Varan comes up, and they realize that this is a big problem. So the U.S. Army, with the Japanese Defense Force, tries to stop him. It doesn't work, and he actually ends up going to not the Haneda airport, but some other area in Japan, even though they have the same footage. They, for some reason, changed locations in the script, and it's a complete garbage heap. It is the worst acting. The storyline doesn't even make sense. I was telling Mark about it the other night. He's like, what was so bad about it? There's the scene in the movie where Varan destroys the village, and you got all the villagers running. Okay, so they're going along, and the plot so far in the movie is they're going to evacuate the village because of the desalinization tests. So they've got people that are going to get them out. And then last minute, literally like 40 seconds before Varan makes his appearance in the American version, they're like, oh, well, they can stay. We don't have to leave. We'll just tell them to be careful of the water. It was written so badly in there. It was almost like they forgot that there was the footage of Varan attacking the village, and there was people there. They're like, oh, crap, we've already shot this footage. How do we fix it? So, like, literally, in like a 5-second scene, they changed tunes, and then Varan shows up, and all of a sudden, these people get killed. The whole movie is filled with horrible plot holes and bad scripting and acting. It is it's the worst thing ever. Like, you think of Godzilla King of the Monsters, the 56 film, they took a little bit of the Japanese movie out, but added the American scenes with Raymond Burr. So, kind of the same concept, but they just took everything out, including the Fukube's amazing soundtrack for this film. Just completely removed it and put in a bunch of garbage, and then released it. And it didn't even release on its own. It released with, I think, The Amazing Colossal Man or War of the Colossal Beast, one of those two. 58. It had to be Amazing Colossal Man, 58, because it was a double bill. Because they knew this ain't making any money on its own. So it's an atrocious film. Japanese one, not so much. But again, this Japanese movie was done by the Big Four. We've talked about them a lot. So you've got Ishiro Honda, directed the film. Tomoyuki Tanaka, he, of course, produced the film. Eiji Tsuburaya handled the special effects. Akira Ifukube wrote what I think, and we'll get into it, maybe one of his best soundtrack scores of all time. And then this movie actually introduced, because you've probably heard of the name, Shinichi Sekizawa, who wrote a majority of, pretty much all of the 50s, or not all the 50s, but all the 60s Godzilla films up into the 70s. He was pretty much Toho's main man for their giant monster and science fiction movies. This was his first time writing for Toho. So this was his first movie. So I guess you can kind of say Big Five for a little bit, but it's got the Big Four. And it was a run-of-the-mill film. I guess I'll go ahead and roll it since I'm, already talking as it is. And nothing special about the story. Nothing special about the movie itself. Godzilla had a very horrific theme to it, with nuclear, radiation and things like that. And it was obviously a criterion, one of the greatest films of all time for a reason. But even Rodan, which came, now this movie's filmed in black and white because of the budget. Rodan came out 2 years prior and was filmed in color, because they had the budget for that, to do that. Rodan had a more tragic storyline.
Yeah.
This one didn't have anything like that. There was no real emotions. This was the first we just need to throw together a giant monster film and just, stamp it and put it out there. So it didn't feel like a lot of love when they making this movie. Actually, later on, Ishiro Honda would go on to say that this was his least favorite body of work that he did. And if he had his way, they would have reshot a few things, changed the storyline, and put more time into it to release it. But this was, the one thing he was not proud of making as far as the film. Now, as far as the beast itself, I think Varan is one of the coolest looking Toho monsters there is. Like,
it reminds me of, have you ever seen those saltwater iguanas?
The marine iguanas?
Yeah. That's what it reminds me of.
And that may be where they got the design from, because it definitely looks like a marine iguana. Yeah. He's got the awesome spikes on the side of his face like a marine iguana does. Then he's got that one line of just super tall spikes down his back that glow, which is just awesome. And then he does have a membrane underneath his arms and legs that stretch out like a flying squirrel's and allows him to fly. So that was pretty unique, but didn't really fit in very well. Like, it was pretty cool because, when you see him in Destroy All Monsters, because he makes 2 appearances in Destroy All Monsters, one of them is with his wings, whatever, he's kind of floating in the air because he can't really fly.
He's a glider.
He's a glider.
Yeah.
Which, they end up discovering a lizard that can do that. I can't remember what it's called though. Great design for the monster. I love his roar. Actors, no one really stuck out. Like I said, this wasn't any phenomenal actors in this. Wasn't a great, amazing storyline by any means. But I loved every moment Varan was on screen. And I could have gone with really out anything else. But for me, the shining moment of this movie was Akira Ifukube's score. If you watch this movie, you'll listen to it. We were talking about it beforehand. It's like, oh, dude, that's Rodan's theme. Or that's the theme for Mothra vs. Godzilla. Or that's in War of the Gargantuas, or that's in Attack the Mushroom People, because it's so iconic. He ended up using and reworking these tracks for other films. I think as a whole, the soundtrack in this movie is the best soundtrack that he ever did. It's just, even at the beginning, you got the credits rolling and you see like the mountain area where the lake is, and you hear the people, like the villagers singing Bara Doggy in the back, which kind of reminded me of the people from Kong. The villagers in Kong.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded like it was in that rhythm too, but the music is just huge. It's so much bigger than anything he had done before, and I'll argue that opening sequence is bigger than anything he's done after. I like the film. I enjoy it. I told Mark before watching it that I actually watch this at least once, if not twice a year. I do go back and revisit this because I just love the character, the monster. I think he looks cool. The fight sequences or the army battles are great. There's a few stock footage scenes from the original Godzilla scattered here and there towards the end. But for being located, just the final battle being done just at the Haneda airport and it lasting, 10 to 15 minutes, I thought they did a really, really good job at that. So, I mean, they kept you intrigued, because he's not attacking the entire city. He's just literally at the airport, and that's it. But they did a great job at it. I know one thing that with this movie was there was actually a pretty severe accident during the filming. There's the scene where Yuriko, what's his name? I can't remember. One of the guys, the main character guy, he's driving the truck of those explosives before they try the flares and pretty much runs it right underneath Varan. And it cracked me up because he's like, here, hold this. And he's got like the ignition wire, and it looks like he's driving this thing like 150, 300 yards or something like that. And he dives out and it stops underneath Varan, and then he comes running back and manages to make it back in time. They end up blowing it up. Well, so that special effects shot when they blew that up under Varan, it was actually in like the groin area of the monster. It actually caused third-degree burns.
Ouch.
On Haruo Nakajima. The guy who played Godzilla, played Varan, just like he's played many other monsters. And he ended up being hospitalized because he suffered third-degry burns to his groin from that. And I was like, golly, dude. Like, and came back and finished the movie. You know what I mean? Like, that dude's dedicated. So, I mean, they definitely worked hard on the film. At least he did. And I thought it was cool, too, because, when you see him as Godzilla, then you see him, in 54. 2 years later, you see him as Rodan. Then 2 years later, you see him as Varan. All three of those monsters don't act at all alike.
No, not at all.
I mean, and I think that shows how good of an actor he was because their movements, the way that they emote, like he did a great job of making sure they're very drastically different animals. You know what I mean? And so I mean, I love the monster. The movie was very run of the mill for me, nothing special, but the soundtrack is so good that I really can't complain because I can listen to that soundtrack all day, every day.
Oh, I agree with you on that soundtrack. It's very, very good. And I thought, overall, the movie was okay. There was a few, chuckles in there that I kind of, laughed at, right at the beginning when Varan's coming after him and all the villagers had come decided to search for the little boy. And
again. Yeah.
And then he starts coming after him, and they turn and start running back. Well, they went through that gate and that fence. Yeah. And they were waving them all back through that fence and made sure that fence was put back and locked. And I was thinking, well, what's that for? He's just going to smash all that. I mean, but I think, and I agree with you, it was nothing spectacular pops out, but it was to me, it was a good enough movie that it kept you interested, though.
Yeah.
And it's, the acting was middle of the way. It was all right. It wasn't the best in the world. I kind of liked the photographer that was with him.
He was cool.
He'd kind of squeal when he got scared and all that kind of stuff.
He's running through in that one plant scare scene. He's like, he's like, you scared me. I'm like, you're talking to a plant, dude.
And so those parts were pretty decent, but I think not something like I wouldn't be like you and revisit it like you do. Got my feel on it, and overall was I enjoyed it. It kept me going through the whole movie. But it's not one of those that I would make a yearly.
I don't know why, man. I don't know if it's the soundtrack or the fact that I love his design, but yeah.
I didn't. Obviously, I didn't watch the American version.
Oh, you're lucky.
And listening to you, I'm glad I didn't watch it. But I think overall, decent movie. Good to watch.
Ruben?
Well, the best thing about this movie, I thought, was the soundtrack. Just like you guys said, I immediately recognized it. And I said, hey, now it wasn't exact, but you could tell that he took, it was obvious that he took parts of this soundtrack and used it in other areas for movies that are more well known or I view a lot more times than I will Varan. I thought, the first thing it's funny. I did not like Varan's design.
What?
I did not like Varan's design. I think it is of all the, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Of all Toho's creations of the movies, this one was the weakest entry, I think.
Really? Wow. Even below Gabara?
Man, Gabbro would be the only one, but even Gabbro was a little bit more entertaining. Than
That was the
Varan.
lamest like
Yeah.
monster ever. The fact that he ran around with his butt hanging out the whole time.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, that's why I thought about it, but I said, which one would I rather? Gabbro was a joke. It was a joke, and you knew it was a joke. And Varan was not supposed to be a joke.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so that's what distinguishes it. And I just, I was watching it, and it is a very, you could just tell Toho just said, we need to put something out here, and let's just throw it together and put it out. Even the story about the butterflies, that didn't make much sense to me at all. Like, oh, these are only found in Siberia, but you know what? Maybe we have some here in Japan in this lake, the Tibet of Japan. I'm like,
yeah, and
why there?
Yeah,
why there?
There was no explanation why it was called the Tibet of Japan either. It's just that's what
this is the Tibet of Japan, and I'm like, okay, fine, but what makes you think those butterflies are there? And they're not extinct because obviously they're found in Siberia.
Right.
So I'm like, all right. And then, the movie was not, it was interesting enough, but it didn't, let me just put it this way. When they were trying to kill Varan, when he was in the lake and they were trying to kill him, and they were throwing those bombs with the poison down the lake, I didn't think once about Varan. I'm like, y'all are killing all the fish just to get to him? And I start thinking, where are all the dead fish? Y'all just dropped like 30 bombs down there with all kinds of
there was only
poison
like 5 fish in the lake. There's that one shot where you see like 5 pop up. That's it. That's all there is.
And I guess that's what he was eating. I guess that's why there was only 5 fish in the lake, because maybe Varan was eating the rest of them. I don't know. But he should have starved to death by now. And then I like Mark, I'm like, they're just like, oh, you can't cross over in this gate. I'm like, well, what's the difference? It's just a little made out of twigs and branches,
That's
and then
true.
for some reason the dog just runs in there. No rhyme or reason. He just bolts into the area. I'm like, okay, so what is a dog after? And then he just stops and just kind of looks around like, okay, I've done suckered all these people in now.
What I liked about that part with the dog, excuse me, is when he come running back and he has the note in the collar.
Oh yeah.
After they read it, they're okay, and then he turns around, and takes off running.
We're all
again.
right, man, no problem. But so the movie wasn't that great to me, but the monster scenes were great. Like when they had the when they brought the note back and they were pinned in that cave. And
love that.
Trying to get at them. That was a very cool scene. I will say that was a very cool scene.
And I would argue the scene from Son of Godzilla where Spiga is trying to get them in the cave crevice. I mean, that is literally shot for shot the same scene. I felt like they were like, this is too cool of a shot. We got to do this again in something a little bit better.
We got to do this again. And so I thought that was cool. That whole sequence at the airport did save the movie for me. That made the movie.
Yeah.
You just have to get there the whole other, hour or so before you get to that. And then that's what made the movie salvageable. There you go. Almost didn't get that out. But that was cool. I thought the effects on there were good. I thought, Varan looked decent there. And I like the premise on, hey, we're gonna have them swallow bombs. I didn't really care for that, but okay, so why is he eating the light? He's attracted to the light, but he's gonna swallow it. He's gonna swallow these things. I didn't get that. So that was kind of weird, and I thought it was cool the way he drove that truck. I did think that was cool. He was like, kamikaze, just going to drive right. I thought, what is he going to do? Just drive right into him? And then when he got underneath him, I said, oh, I see what he's doing. He's going to get him where it hurts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the plan.
And obviously it did.
It worked.
It worked to an extent, but it was that's what salvaged the movie. Would I watch it again? Mark was saying, that was a no for him. I might, but I'd really have to be in the mood for something. And the only thing that would get me the mood for it is the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack.
Just sitting there and watching the soundtrack. It's so funny. We talk about this a lot. Sometimes soundtracks make the movie. And this one, man, you hear that theme and it just, you're watching a Toho movie for once.
Yeah.
For one, you're watching a Toho movie. And there's going to be a pretty good looking monster coming. There's going to be a monster coming. So those two things are what what those things I listed is what makes the movie, salvageable and not, is it better than Godzilla's Revenge?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would say yeah, but only because Godzilla's Revenge is one giant kids movie. And this is not a kids movie. Godzilla's Revenge, okay, to be fair to Godzilla's Revenge, if I can say that without laughing or getting a chuckle, is Godzilla's Revenge was made for the same people for the same kids that watch Barney or watch Teletubbies or watch.
It could have been
This
double
was
billed.
made-
It could have been
yeah.
double billed with like Gamera versus Zegra.
Yeah, something like that. It was made for kids. It was made for kids, and I don't even want to say 12. Well, 12-year-old kids back then. 12 and under is what that movie was made for.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this one wasn't, which that way, for me, that's what makes it a little bit better than Godzilla's Revenge. So if I had Godzilla's Revenge in one hand and Varan, I might go for Varan, unless I feel like a comedy.
I'm definitely going for Varan.
So, I mean, you have Godzilla, that's about it. And Godzilla's Revenge, and your favorite, Minya.
Oh God!
But
the reason I can't stand
when I was sitting down trying to figure out what to give this thing as far as stomp ratings go, I said, okay, is there there's a lot of movies that I would rate lower than this one.
Definitely.
And Godzilla's Revenge, Godzilla 98, Godzilla 98 or Varan, type of deal, and there again, it would be on what is it that brings you into a movie. A lot of people probably say Godzilla 98.
Well, I don't know.
Instead of Varan.
I mean, even though the acting in Varan was bad, it was still better than the acting in Godzilla 98.
But then you have, then you got some people that, hey, those special effects in Godzilla 98 are 1,000 times better, which they are, but
you're talking 40-year difference in filmmaking.
There's a 40-year difference, and of course this movie for some, and it got that way as we went down the Showa era. You went from Godzilla 54 and Rodan and movies that had, I think one you said emotion.
Yeah,
there was an emotional connection, and this one there is no emotional connection. It's just a monster movie, and if you like to see stuff destroyed and people running and a little silliness in between, then this is a very watchable movie. Very watchable compared to Godzilla's Revenge. I would say, watchable.
Absolutely.
If I'm rated it on watchability, this one wins over Godzilla's Revenge.
Yep,
it definitely does.
Well, I reckon there was one towards the end of the movie, and obviously, Varan's eating the flares, and I thought about this, when you were just now talking about it, Ruben. Okay, so how many flares does he eat? Like 3 or 4?
3.
Yeah. And then you have the first explosion.
Yeah.
And then you hear one of the doctors or one of them say, he's still got a bomb left in there. How do you know he's still got a bomb left in there? And when that bomb finally explodes, it looks like a nuclear blast. I mean,
dude.
But the first couple ones, he's fine. He's not a problem. He kind of leans over, goes out to the water. And then when he gets in the water, you have this huge...
the one that was still waiting to blow.
The one that they knew was in there.
Let me help you out with that, Mark. What it is okay. Just imagine he went to Taco Bell. The first couple was the first couple of tacos, and then the last one was the one that really got him.
Oh, the burritos.
Burrito Supreme. Burrito Supreme. That's what it is.
The Supreme, that sour cream, and that finally hit him, and then that was the end of that.
Oh, exactly.
The first couple was,
exactly.
it might have just been a plain taco with lettuce and tomato. But that third one, that was the Supreme with the day-old sour
that
cream.
Was
Seal
the deal. Like,
everything right there.
I'm not feeling too good.
At room temperature for a couple hours, So if you imagine it that way, then you can see what happens. What
definitely
happens,
got it. Definitely got that. So, that was good.
But all in all, it was a fun film, and it's very watchable. It's just not one of my favorite Toho entries. It just isn't.
I would agree. That's still once a year. All right. Well, hey.
Yeah.
Let's find out. It's Stompdown rating time. All right, so collectively, we gave this movie a 3 out of 5 stomps. We were all pretty close. Me and Mark gave it 3. Ruben gave it 2.5. Run of the mill monster movie. I mean,
Yes.
I still find it. I don't know. To me, it's more entertaining than movies like, and I don't think we've even done this one yet, but like Reptilicus. I like this more than Reptilicus. What would I put Reptilicus as? I mean, this is just right down the middle, run of the mill. The soundtrack is super.
I like this one better than Razorback. I like this one a whole lot better than Razorback.
Wow. That's rough. That is rough.
But super amazing for me. Super amazing soundtrack. I mean, I could literally just put the movie on just to listen to the soundtrack. It's so good.
Exactly.
And then I enjoyed the monster.
That I agree with.
Yeah, I enjoy Varan's design, and I think the monster scenes are really, really good for it. The rest of the stuff, human stuff, just throw it out the window.
So you like the design. So obviously you think Gabra's is worse. Is there?
Oh yeah,
Is
absolutely.
there another monster? Do you think is worse than Varan?
Are we talking about like Toho?
Maybe we'll just go ahead. Yeah, we'll put Minya in there. I should.
Well, Minya is definitely.
Oh yeah.
Minya and Gabra.
I would put Gabra above Minya.
Yeah. Is there another one that you think is worse, or are those the only two?
No, I mean I would go with, as far as if we're talking just Toho films.
Yeah, just Toho. Mm-hmm. And that had to be Godzilla, Showa, just
all three of the monsters from Yog, Monster from Space. Gazora, Kamiba, didn't like. I mean, they weren't bad designs, but I put them below Varan for sure. And honestly, not the Showa, but the Millennium King Caesar. I cannot stand. I'll put that below.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And obviously, Toho liked Varan's design because they wanted to use him in other movies, but his suit was just so destroyed that they couldn't do it.
I would put Varan, as far as the design and how much I like just looking at the monster itself. I mean, I would put it on par with like Manda.
Yeah, there you go. You know what? That's a good point. Yeah, I guess maybe because it was in black and white, and it wasn't shot in quality black and white. There's just no sharpness to that. They just didn't. Maybe if it was in a sharper black and white, and maybe if I would have seen Varan in color, I might change my mind. Because some of the pictures you see, like in Destroy All Monsters, he made his appearance there, but he was smaller in that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he wasn't the same size.
Well, it's because they used the maquette puppet.
Yeah, exactly. And I read that Toho wanted to make him a more integral part and wanted him in the fight and Destroy All Monsters. They just couldn't do it because the suit was just totally destroyed, and they couldn't invest the money to get it repaired.
And I would have loved to have seen him because, I mean, it's Shusuke Kaneko originally for GMK. It was going to not be Mothra, Baragon, and King Ghidorah. It was going to be Baragon, Anguirus, and Varan. Varan was going to be the main bad guy, or the main good guy, I should say. I guess. Sorry. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen that redesign.
That would have been pretty cool. And apparently, Varan is in that mythos of the GMK. He's part of that. Whatever multiverse or whatever you want to call it.
The Guardians for that.
The Guardians, yeah, the Guardians, and that would have been cool. And I think at Toho went and did that, I think it would have been great. I think a modernized Varan, in color, and I think.
Well, I remember when Trendmasters came out with the Monster Wars figures, and they had redesigned Varan with that figure of theirs. I thought he looked amazing. I was like, I want this in a cartoon or in a film or whatever. Still one of my most sought after figures, but hey, I got a Megalon now, so. But that Varan that they redid for that was awesome. I even think he looked cool, minus being purple, in the Godzilla Nintendo game.
Oh yeah.
And he was super hard too. Drove me nuts.
So I think Toho wanted to find ways to get him in there. They just couldn't budget it, and unfortunately, which I think is a shame.
It is.
I think it would have changed my opinion of him if they would have done that, because I really do now, looking at it the way I'm judging him over a bad quality of the movie itself rather than his suit. It's just wasn't that clear. So I don't know if that's fair or not, but oh well.
It is what it is. So, but there you go. 3 out of 5 from us. And like I said, it's definitely worth at least watching once. To check out because it's that much enjoyable because of the soundtrack and the monster itself. if you listen to Mark and Ruben, maybe not once a year like I do, but
once a lifetime. What are you talking a year?
It's at least worth checking it out once. So definitely recommend. Of course, we recommend most of the movies we review, but this one's fun. Yeah. And if you want to hear especially if you're a music person, and you want to hear where some of these iconic scores from the Godzilla movies came from, this is where it started, and it's definitely worth checking out. And that I think I would even say that opening sequence will grab you with the soundtrack, because of the soundtrack will grab you right then and there. So, all right. Yeah. Well, I guess it's, I'm excited because we need to find out, Mark, I know what I thought, find out what Mark thought about the Twonky.
Oh, man. So, what y'all think about that?
Oh, yeah. So let's find out. It's time to test your might.
Your might. Test your might. Test your might. Test your might. Test your might.
All right, Mark. 1953, the Twonky. Ruben decided that one last time. And I volunteered, if those remember, I volunteered to watch it with him. But
yes,
I wanted to see what you thought.
I'm just going to tell you right now that I would come closer to watching Twonky once or twice a year than I would Varan.
I would too.
I actually,
y'all are disappointing me. I'm trying to make y'all suffer. Every movie I pick, y'all enjoy.
It was so good, man.
It's a comedy science fiction movie.
Yeah, it was.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I really did.
So watching that TV run around with his little legs.
Oh yeah.
Things,
and the best part is when he gets the old woman. He tells the old woman on the side of the road that his wife's having a baby. He's got to get to the hospital. And his car had broke down, or he ran out of gas, so she agrees to take him. And he jumps in the car. Well, the Twonky jumps into the back, into the trunk, and then all of a sudden you see the back seat kind of smoking, and then here pops out through the antenna. And I was like, "This is so good, man! I love this. I love
my favorite scene was they were after him for the money for the TV.
Yeah.
It's like $85 and some change, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that collections agency woman comes. And it's like, I'm staying here till you get. I'm like, well, that's kind of rude, And so she stays the night at his house.
Showers the whole 9 yards, man.
Yeah. And so she ends up like coming and finding the TV. And then you just hear her scream and like this kind of explosion happen off screen. And then it goes back to that shot where she was, and then her bra just kind of slowly falls down. It's like, what just happened to this lady? Did he just vaporize her? And then his wife comes running in the door. And it's like, why is there a naked lady running down the street? I was like, dude, this movie's great. I enjoyed it.
I'll give that a 3.5 on my Stomp rating.
Oh, I totally would too. I totally would too, man.
Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome.
I'm really going to have to dig.
It was so good, man. Like, even my wife, who doesn't watch 90% of what we watch. I was watching it, and she had to come in, and she's caught like maybe 30 seconds of it, and she's like, "Is that TV running?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then she just goes from like the dining room table to right next to me on the couch and watched the whole movie with me.
It was good. It was good.
It was awesome.
How am I supposed to take pleasure in your suffering if y'all are not suffering?
Well,
I tell you what.
You just keep it up. You're doing good.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Oh,
you'll get there. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, it is time for another round of questions from the one Charlie Chase over at Give Me Back My Action Movies, Give Me Back My Horror Movies. And are you guys ready?
Yeah, I got to go get my notes.
His notes.
What? You've been talking to Charlie? What?
That's what. Oh, that's yeah. He's been talking to Charlie now.
I told you. I cram for his exams.
Oh,
he does. Yeah. We've talked about that at Free Comic Book Day. Charlie brought it up.
Yeah, I do. So hold on just a second.
So we should probably play like the Jeopardy theme music right now. People are like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Oh, we're waiting for Ruben. His notes. He studies for these." I told Charlie, I was like, "Dude," he's like, "Man, I feel so bad because Mark loses all the time."
Oh, it doesn't bother me.
And I'm like, because Mark knows probably the least. I was like, so he's talking about how like Ruben is always studying for these, and he's like, "Do you study?" I'm like, "No, I don't study at all. Like I just take it as it comes." I was just trying to somewhat make it fair for Mark. So, but yeah, I'm not saying what's going to happen, but
I study for Varan. Of course, I read up on Varan and try to find. And while I'm doing that, I always think, okay, would Charlie ask something like this? So I kind of make notes. I'm like, okay, so
He's got something planned for you, Ruben. I'm going to tell you.
I bet he does.
He's got something planned for you.
He's always doing a booby trap on me. I'm still angry about that Rocky Maivia question.
We talked about that too. I was like, that one was great.
But before we get on that, the other day, I don't know if you guys know, but The Rock has a sitcom on NBC. It's his life story. I don't know if you guys caught it or not.
No.
Okay. So his first match for WWE was a dark match here in Corpus Christi, Texas. I don't know if you probably, that was his very first match. He got a call from Jack Briscoe, I think. And he goes, "You're going to wrestle a dark match in Corpus Christi, Texas." There was going to be, the rest of it was televised. But he was still Rocky Maivia. He was not, that was his very first match. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. But then he talked about it later that, that was his first match, but then he was sent to Jerry Lawler's, where Charlie stumped me. So his first match for WWE was here in Corpus Christi, and he was still Rocky, his original name, Rocky. And then they sent him to Lawler's to develop, and then he came back.
Okay.
So I'm like, I thought I got him. I got Charlie now. He misinformed everybody, and I'm like, oh no, he didn't. Darn it.
That was awesome.
All right, let's do this thing.
Here we go. Number 1. What year was the first documented use of a human wing suit or squirrel suit? What? What? Okay, so what year was the first documented use of a human wingsuit? Was it A, 1907, B, 1912, or C, 1930?
Human wingsuit.
Man, I'm totally guessing on this one.
Yeah, me too.
What kind of question is that, Charlie?
Thank you, Charlie.
Wingsuit. I guess because Varan's got
I'm thinking something with Flight of Icarus or something like that.
Maybe.
So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 2. In Pacific Rim Uprising paid tribute to Toho in a brief scene that included the heads of 12 kaiju. Varan was one of the ones that was shown. Which of the following were not shown? A. Batra, B. Yongari, or C. Anguirus? You mean to repeat the question? Okay.
No.
Repeat the answers again.
A. Batra, B. Yongari, or C. Anguirus?
All right.
Number 3. The main financier of the Twonky was told midway through production that movie was going to bomb and he wouldn't receive his investment back. But in an unlikely twist, financier Buddy Nast simply stated, "I need a tax write-off for this year anyway." How much did Nast invest into the film Twonky?
Really?
A, $100,000, B, $200,000, or C, $300,000? Oh, man. I'm going to go...
I have no idea. I didn't study.
Well, I picked out the movie, so I'm getting that one. I'm getting 1 of 3 at least.
You're getting 1. All right, let's find out.
I bet I'm over. I'm watching another movie.
He's saying I'm picking another one. What year was the first documented use of a human wingsuit or squirrel suit? A, 1907, B, 1912, or C, 1930? The correct answer is B, 1912. A Frenchman designed a suit and tested it by jumping off the Eiffel Tower. He died. Okay.
I got one.
I got that one right.
Got one.
Yeah. That was a guess, though. I will say it was a guess.
In Pacific Rim Uprising, of course, there was the scene where they paid tribute to Toho in a brief scene that included the heads of 12 kaiju. Varan was one that was shown. Which of the following were not shown? A, Batra, B, Yongari, or C, Anguirus? The answer is C, Anguirus.
Dang. I missed that one.
I actually knew that one because they actually even show, because they showed Yongari, they even show like Zigra from the Gamera series.
Why was I thinking Yongari is not a Toho monster?
It's not Toho.
Well, what didn't he say? That they were...
You said, wait a minute, he said Toho.
Yeah, that's why
I tribute to Toho in a brief scene.
Hey.
That's why I picked Yongari.
You have to pick up that. Well, I knew
this is an outrage.
Yes. Good job, Charlie. You blew that one, buddy.
Number 3.
Hey, wait. What's the answer here on number 2?
C, Anguirus. He's not in the scene.
C. Anguirus. Yeah, and I picked Yongari because I didn't know. I thought he was not Toho. So
he's not Toho.
You take it up with the question man, not me.
Okay.
I didn't make the
we
question.
see where this one went. We see where I'm gonna have to watch another movie after all. I thought I was through this thing.
Number 3.
I got two,
So how much money did Buddy Nast invest into the film Twonky? A, 100,000, B, 200,000, or C, 300,000? The answer is 300,000. C. I got that wrong.
one right.
You got two?
right.
You got two?
I got 2 out of 3, man.
How much did you get,
2
Ruben?
out of 3.
Two.
2 out of 3.
What'd you get?
Again, we got
Crap.
another tie.
Again. Another tie.
We got a tiebreaker. We got a tiebreaker question, right?
No, there's not really a tiebreaker. There's a cheating. See, that's where I told you where they talk,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
See how that
That's it.
he
Yeah, that table.
Oh yeah,
they conspired.
he picked
They
that
conspired.
second one, and
There-
it should have been Jan
yeah.
Gary. It should have been B, but he goes.
There's 2,000 mules, and then there's
yeah, exactly,
sludge and
exactly what I'm talking right
well,
there.
we'll reach out. Okay, so we need a tiebreaker question. That's 2 in a row. Did we do that last time?
Oh no, I was over 3 last one.
last one. So.
I was all about that.
All right. Well, let's reach out to the one, Charlie Chase, and find out what our tiebreaker question is going to be.
Stick around.
All right. It is time for our tiebreaker question. What year did Stan Winston establish his own company? A, 1971, B, 1972, or C, 1973?
That's a hard one.
I have no clue.
I'm guessing at this one.
And the answer is
Okay, ready for the answer. You hadn't sent the answer yet. I wrote my answer down.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he did it after he did Piranha 2. 1972. Crap.
what'd you do?
All right.
I did 73.
And I did 72.
Son of a gun.
Guess who lost?
72 is what I wrote, yeah.
I hate you.
Mark,
Well,
I'll give you the pleasure.
well, you know,
Pleasure.
I thought about the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
come on. That's too much fun for him.
I agree. So I'm thinking Titanic at the moment right now.
Oh, my God. No, it's a monster movie. Got to be a monster movie.
Well, for you, that was a monster movie, wasn't it? I don't know what do you got in line over there?
Oh, I got some stuff lined up. You want me to give him one?
Give him one.
Give him one. All right. You know what? I'll give you a Roger. How about that?
All right.
Oh, really?
I've probably seen it.
Yeah.
Sure you do. He makes a ton of crappy movies.
Okay. All right. No, I'm not giving you Roger Corman. I'm giving you a movie called Mansquito, made in 2005.
Seen it.
Have you seen it?
Man.
Yep. There was
Oh,
that
my-
time, right, in those like late 90s. We had all those low budget. There was Mansquito.
Yeah.
There was Mosquito, and then there was Skeeter. There was 3 of them. Now, Mosquito was the better of the 3 because it had.
You see that? Man, I tell you
dang
what.
it. What's his name? The guy played Leatherface in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ted Gunnison or whatever. He was in Mosquito. So I'll totally do Mansquito unless you got a better option.
You got something?
I don't know. I didn't plan on winning.
Oh, you know what? I got one here that will tie in with the interview that we're going to do. That's going to get released later on.
Okay.
You want that one? It's called Attack of the Crab Monsters, 1957.
Seen it.
Oh my gosh,
well,
that's unbelievable.
Let's do that. We'll do that one because it kind of ties in.
It has been a long time though. I actually watched that. I watched that on a double bill with it was Attack of the Giant Crab Monsters and Attack of the Giant Leeches. Both of those back to back. So Attack of the Giant Crab Monsters, I can do it. It has been a while since I've seen that one actually.
Yeah, so let's do that one because it kind of ties in with everything.
All right.
I'm just glad I don't have to watch a movie. Extra one.
See, I even told Charlie. Okay, so we messaged him for a tiebreaker. I said, "Man," I said, "I hate you." And he says, "That's a pretty good question on the fly." I said, "It was, but I thought he created the studio after he did special effects on Piranha." because I knew he did that, and Piranha came out in 72. That's why I thought 73. And he's like, no, he still made it the same year. I'm like, crap. He's like, I was going to ask what was his first movie he ever did, and I knew the answer to that one. And I was like, well, I know that one. Like, I had that movie on DVD. And he's like, that's why I didn't ask it. So he asked a question for you guys.
Oh,
all
yeah,
right?
whatever. You want us to buy that?
What was what was
yeah.
Stan Winston's first film? You've seen it. I know you've seen it. Actually, you may have seen it. You were the one who maybe introduced me to it.
I don't know which one.
First, I'll give you a hint. First film that Stan Winston ever did special effects for was a television film, made for TV film.
Well, I don't know.
I'm thinking, no, it can't be Trilogy of Terror. No,
Nope,
not
he
that.
didn't do that one.
No, it wasn't that one.
Which was a good movie.
That is a very good movie. Gargoyles.
Oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
there you
Yes,
go.
yeah.
Man, and it's right in that time. I was trying to think. I know it was one of those late nights.
Yeah, dude, that's a great movie. I
Gargoyles,
love
that's
that
right.
movie.
Gargoyles,
Very good.
All right, I lost fair and square, and I got to watch Attack of the Giant Crab Monsters. As Ruben said, for those listening, for a special episode next month. We were trying to get it done a little earlier, but schedules were a little conflicting, but we finally got it nailed down in the books, and we are going to, you saw us spread the word for an upcoming monster movie called Crabs, and we will be interviewing Pierce, the director, for that one. We've actually are super excited for this. Mark is leaning towards me because I can't pronounce his last name. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I promise you, by the time you hear the episode, I'll have, because we record the interview tomorrow, actually, I'll have figured out what his last name sounds like and try not to butcher it too bad. But Crabs, we shared it on Facebook and all the socials. We're super excited because this is just, we've already seen it. And we're going to do an interview and then with Pierce and then review the movie.
Yeah.
And we're super stoked for this. We better make sure you guys listen to this episode, spread the news about this episode, get everybody get on and support Pierce in this movie because it may be, and this is going to be a bold statement coming from me.
Here it comes.
This may be the greatest love letter to 80s monster films ever. Like, I completely enjoyed this movie. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, I loved it. It was so good.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, that just came. That was a love letter to the Showa era, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely was.
That's what this one is to 80s monster movies, and it was great. I really enjoyed it because I enjoy 80 monster movies.
Oh yeah,
80s monster movies a lot. It's got there was only one thing missing that would have made it complete for me, and I know he can't cast her because she's just too valuable an asset.
There's no Phoebe Cates in the movie.
There's no Phoebe
I knew where he was
Cates.
going. She was all that was missing.
That was all that was missing.
So definitely stay tuned for that one, man. I'm telling you, if I could sum it up, I mean, this is a monster movie through and through that just knows where it comes from and does a phenomenal job. But if I was to say this movie is this, I would say Crabs is Gremlins meets Yoga Hosers meets the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And
there we go.
That is guaranteed.
Yeah.
You're going to have a freaking blast watching it. So
You are.
Stay tuned. We will be promoting this one pretty heavy because, again, we want you guys to support, on all the shows. We interview, independent directors and writers and things like that. We want you to show some love and support for these guys, but we promise you this movie is well worth your support because it is a super great film. So we're excited to have Pierce on and for you guys to hear that episode next month. Also, next month we have got, because Jurassic World Dominion is coming out the 10th of June, we are going to throw out a better dinosaur movie at you. Well,
It's coming.
I don't know if I'd call it better than Jurassic World Dominion because I haven't seen it, but back in the 90s when the first Jurassic Park came out, Roger Corman, who's great on cashing in on the success of other films, created the movie Carnosaur, and we're going to do another double feature for you guys. We're going to do Carnosaur 1 and 2, and I'm stoked about it because I love these movies. And
Yes, he does.
So we're going to release that same weekend as Jurassic World Dominion, and hopefully you guys can get a chance to watch these two, and you let us know which ones you like more, the Jurassic Park films or the Carnosaur films. Hint, hint, Carnosaur films are better. And then we're going to go with a great giant monster movie that most people may not have seen. We're going to go outside Japan and outside of America for it. We're going to go to South Korea, and we're going to check out Yongary, Monster from the Deep, next month. So we've got 3 great episodes coming next month for you. Hope you guys definitely stick around and listen to those. But also, this month, we have one more episode coming up. Of course, you got the Stompy and Frank show coming at the end of the month. But we have got Mark's Birthday Bash coming up here in just 2 weeks. And we were doing, you picked Notzilla for that one. So have you watched it yet?
I have not yet.
So I'm not sorry. 2 weeks. next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. So I actually almost watched it the other day. I'm super stoked. So we've got a lot of cool surprises in store from Mark for his birthday episode. So you are not going to want to miss it. So, all right, guys, thank you all so much again for listening. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you get a chance to watch Varan, it's worth a watch once. Then, of course, come back next time to find out what I think about Attack of the Giant Crab Monsters. And, the love we're about to show Mark for his birthday episode. It's going to be great. And Pete already picked the movie, or Mark picked the movie out of Pete's choice.
I might have Mark for that week pick out the Monster Mash song or track.
Hey, that'd be a good idea.
I think I'm gonna let you do that. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about it, and it'll be your choice.
All right, we'll go to work on that one.
That will be pretty cool.
We still got a while to do, but we'll let you do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thank you all so much. Make sure, of course, go check out all the other shows on the Give Me Back My Podcast Network. We love you all so much. Stay tuned for Mark's birthday episode, the next episode of the Stompy and Frank Show. This is Sludge.
And Mark.
And you got Ruben in Texas.
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Come on, y'all. You want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will win.
Hello, peasants. Stompy here, reminding you to join the Monster Movie Stompdown Facebook group and follow us on Instagram so you can get all of the extra content from the Monster Movie Stompdown. 3 times a week, we bring extra content with The Underdogs on Monday, where we discuss great monster movies you might have missed. Monster Mash Wednesday, where we discuss the music of the monster movies or monster-related music, either way. And of course, Friday Night Fights, where we put 2 titular monsters, not even the right word, I don't know if I can say that word, in the ring, and you decide who wins. So don't be a loser. Go join us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram.
And welcome back to another episode of the Monster Movie Stompdown. This is episode 85. We're getting close to 100. Of course, you got your son of a gun. Got your sludge here. So let's try that one more time.
Okay.